Hi, I'm Ken Kessler, and welcome to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. If you're new to this podcast, I want to start by saying thanks for joining us. If you're not new, welcome back. Either way, I'm very glad you're here. Now, to avoid any confusion, I want to say there won't be any music played here. This is a place for conversation. I'll talk about Christmas music and some related topics, sometimes by myself and sometimes with guests. If you're looking for music, just go to soundsofchristmas.com and click on the tree or the player on the front page or on the Listen Now page. We play the best variety of Christmas music all year long. Well, except in October, when we play the best variety of Halloween music. This all started a month or two ago. I saw yet another post on some Christmas fans website how there's no good music, no good Christmas music anymore, that nothing from the last 20 years could possibly be a standard or considered a classic. And I just thought that was ridiculous. And it's not the first time I'd seen something like that. So I was all set to just do an episode on my own, ranting about how ridiculous this was and rattling off 20, 30, 50 of my favorite Christmas songs just from the last couple decades that I think these are already classics, or they're going to be. And then I thought, all right, I don't want to be somebody just yelling at people to get off my lawn. So I wanted to reach out and see if anybody else felt this way. And I did an episode the beginning of May with several other hosts of Christmas themed podcasts who all thought that this was silly. And they quickly had their little lists of songs that they thought should be classics or might already be. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk to some people who were in music, who had recorded Christmas songs recently, and see how they felt about this and if they had some ideas of some songs that they think should be considered standards or classics, or at least are on their way. And I had lots of people who said, absolutely, I want to do this. And scheduling is tricky. So this may extend to a couple more episodes with everybody who wanted to take part. But you three are the first. So thank you for doing this.
Yay. Thank you, Ken.
Sure. I want to introduce everybody. So Suzanne from Suzanne's band, Linda Imperial and Dan Ashley are here. Suzanne's band has 2 Christmas singles so far, Underneath the Tree and One More Night of Christmas. And earlier this year, Suzanne's band released a new album called Fire and Ice.
Ice Linda, and Fire.
And I got that wrong. Because after I introduced everybody, I was going to say, what did I get wrong? So Ice and Fire.
Yeah, it's the other way.
Okay. Yeah. Linda Imperial has a Christmas single called Christmas You and Me. And she recently released the singles Breakfast of Blues and The Storm Is Over. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, I'm 1 and 1. All right, Dan. Dan has a Christmas single called Christmas Is My Favorite Time of Year, and his latest album is out there. Is that correct?
That's right. And my favorite time of year is the Christmas song. And Out There, it's not just out there, it's called Out There, as you said.
Yes. Yeah. Clarification on that. It's not just out there. I mean, it is out there, but it is
out there.
Right.
It's out there and it's out there.
Okay. Have any of the three of you heard people saying this kind of thing about Christmas music?
A little bit. I think what I love about what you do, Ken, is you call attention to Christmas music all year long, and most people only think about it for a few weeks. Right. So, I think there may not have been a great number of new Christmas songs that get a lot of people's attention the last few years, but there's so many amazing Christmas songs out there that I just love.
Yes.
I would say some are originals.
And I would say the reason why people might feel like that is that, on the regular radio plays and other stations that you hear, a lot of the same songs tend to get repeated or played. Mm-hmm. And there is a whole lot of music that's been released and it doesn't get the airplay either. And I think that's where you run into those comments that have been made that they feel like, well, there's nothing new. It's because you're not hearing the new things.
Right. That's a good point.
That's a huge part.
Right. There is a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's an indie artist. I don't want to mention her name because I didn't tell her I was doing this, but she was very excited 6-7 years ago because a station in New York was adding one of her Christmas songs. And it was one of 5 new songs that they were adding that year. And I just thought, 5? They're only adding 5 new songs? I get close to 1,000 songs sent to me every Christmas season.
Wow.
And whether they're coming from record labels or management people or the artists themselves or people who listen to the station and said, I don't know if you heard this, but so I get tons of stuff, and they, for one reason or another, they don't all make it. They can't. There's just no way. And all of them are not quite ready for prime time. But I added at least a couple of hundred songs just last year.
Wow.
Of new Christmas songs. And it's just amazing to me when I hear people say that, oh, there's nothing new, there's nothing good anymore. And there is, sometimes you can tell when somebody gets pressured to make a Christmas single or a Christmas album, and you can hear them doing a paint by numbers version of Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, and it's just like Brenda Lee, and there's nothing new to it. There's nothing that makes you think, oh, that's so-and-so and their take on it or anything. So there are some like that, but for every one of those, there's 5 or 10 at least others where you listen to it and you go, that has that magic, that has that Christmas feeling to it, that, that's something special. And
it's the intent. It's all intent.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
true.
And for somebody like me who listens to so much Christmas music, and not that it's a contest, but probably a lot more Christmas music than most people who are even listening to this podcast, just by the nature of what I do, it takes a lot to be able to listen to a song and feel that Christmas magic without getting so jaded when you go, oh, here's another version of Blue Christmas. Let me see what that's like. And here's another version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. They're trying to be the Jackson 5, but they're not. And it's very easy to get jaded like that. But then you hear something new, and this is true. And I'm not trying to, blow sunshine or anything, but this is true for each one of you. When I heard your Christmas songs, Dan, I know that when we talked last year and we were talking about your Christmas single, I didn't even realize at first that was a cover because you made it your own.
Thank you. And by the way, Linda and Suzanne, your songs are great. I think they're just wonderful. They really are wonderful. When you and I talked last year about my favorite time of year, we talked about intent that Linda mentioned, and I was set to record another song. And about a week before, it was a cover that I was going to make my own if I could. But I just didn't feel the song. I just was trying, and I was just like, I just don't like this song very much for me. So I went online and I started searching for a song, and I wanted to find one I hope that maybe no one had really heard. And I found this song that a guy named Lee Hagerwood from the Florence Street Band in England wrote a few years ago, and they recorded the first 8 bars. I heard that song. That's it. I love that song. It's got exactly the feel and vibe and warmth and celebratory kind of attitude that I wanted. So I knew when I heard it, okay, that's the one. And we switched on a dime and literally in a week and did that one instead. And I'm so glad I did, because I really like that song, not because I did it, his song, but that should be a classic. I think it's a great Christmas song. And, we're proud of it.
It's like Linda Ronstadt does that. She knows when that song hits her,
Yeah, you just know. I heard it, and I didn't even get a quarter way in. I went, that's the one. And I hear it, and I think that should be a classic. It's a great song. I'm not even talking about my version, just the song. But anyway, and I've actually, I've written, we're doing some more this year. I've written several Christmas songs, and we're going to pick at least one as a single this year. Oh, one's called Let It Ring. Another one is called Put Up the Lights. And so we're working up some material now.
That's fabulous.
Oh, thanks, Linda. It's fun.
Let It Ring.
The Florence Street Band song, I'm a big fan. They have a really nice Christmassy video for that too. It's like Victorian kind of Christmas, Dickens Victorian kind of Christmas, the setting and everything. And It is just one of those songs that you hear it and you feel Christmassy.
It does. It's got a magical quality. And you know, the video we did for it, we didn't want to, his was very Victorian and it's lovely. But I wanted to do something that was more modern. So but still nostalgic, you know, so we have ice skating, but we don't have people in Victorian costumes, you know, it's more modern. So that's why I did the video that way, just to make it different.
I remember I had heard your song and I was like, I kind of know the words, but I hadn't heard your song before. And it took a while before I made the connection because it does sound so different. And I love that when somebody takes a Christmas song and really makes it their own. One of the best examples of that I can think of is Wilson Pickett in the early 80s did a version of Silver Bells. And it sounds nothing like any version of Silver Bells you ever heard. There's some very rock and R&B guitar to it. And if it had been later in the 80s, they would have suggested that he was ripping off Footloose because of some of the music to it. But it's really fun and so different than any version of Silver Bells that you've heard before. And I know, Suzanne, I think I had said this to you, the Sounds of Christmas is an all year kind of thing. It's not every day of the year, but it requires a lot of work. And I think it was last year when we were getting ready to talk and I had it on in the background as I'm programming stuff for the next season. And your song, your first single, One More Night of Christmas, came on. And I thought, you know, that's really nice. I should play that more. And I can't quite remember who did it, but it's one of those classics. And I'm looking through my library and I have it in all the genres. And I'm looking through the classics and the standards and I'm trying to find where it was. And then suddenly it hit me. Okay, you idiot. That's your friend Suzanne, who has been advertising and you've been playing her single for the last couple of years. And I was like, that's what it was. And Linda, you know, your song, it was like an old friend. When I heard your song, it was like, you know, it captured that thing in the holidays where you want to be with, you know, that bit of nostalgia of being with people you know and love. And it felt like that. I hadn't heard it before. But it felt comfortable and it felt like a holiday.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just feel so good to be in such great company, you know.
Oh, likewise.
It's just wonderful.
So I had asked you guys to come up with 5 songs from the last 20 years that you think should be considered standards or classics, or at least on their way to being standards or classics. Linda, you want to go first?
Well, I made a list and I'm old fashioned. I love Bing Crosby, Burl Ives, Nat King Cole. Do you hear what I hear?
But what about things from like the last 20 years?
I love Mel Torme. I mean, I just, that's what I love hearing singers. That's what I'll gravitate toward. I'll gravitate towards Frank Sinatra. I'll gravitate towards Mel Torme, Jude. What's his name's aunt? George Clooney's aunt.
Rosemary
Clooney.
Rosie.
Because they make me feel at home. It really soothes and warms my heart and my spirit when I hear them, especially during the holidays, because sometimes I get lonely being away from my family, in California, and I have family kind of all over. So
Rosemary Clooney, and this goes outside of that 20-year thing, but in the 90s, I was working at a radio station in Cincinnati where she's related to somebody who was a news anchor, but I don't remember exactly what the connection was. If it was an uncle, aunt kind of thing, or what the relation, but so the city really loved Rosie. And when I was there, she had a new Christmas album that came out, 95, 96 maybe. And it was such a great version of Christmas Time Is Here the song from the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
Mm.
And at that point, not a lot of people had covered that. So it was so sweet to hear this voice that you love doing this song that makes you think of Christmas when you were a kid.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
that was really special.
And I loved Drummer Boy.
Yes.
You know, there's actually I'll give you a couple of new ones too, or newer ones, Ken, but you mentioned Drummer Boy, Linda. I may do a cover this year with of a song that David Bowie and Bing Crosby did as a duet.
Fabulous.
And it's fabulous. It's, to me, so beautiful. And my dear friend, one of my best friends, Cornell C.C. Carter, a great R&B soul singer who's, you know, charting and doing really well, is touring in Europe right now, or in Europe right now, playing a few shows. We'll do it as a duet. And so maybe.
Oh, how fabulous.
Yeah. And he's the best. And this song is just beautiful, the way that Bing Crosby and David Bowie did it. But the couple songs I point to, Gwen Stefani did in 2017, You Make It Feel Like Christmas.
Yeah.
Which was really, well, it's, you know, kind of melancholy, but it's beautiful. I think there's John Legend did Baby It's Cold Outside, you know, that song that got a little heat a few years ago, but he did a version of that I thought was really well done. Sia did Candy Cane Lane in 2017, which I thought also was a really nicely done version.
You know, I didn't know a whole lot about Sia before her Christmas album came out. And I just thought that she was just another pop young lady and didn't really think much about it, but I was listening to it anyway. And Candy Cane Lane is a song that will stay in your head.
Yeah, it does. It's catchy.
It is catchy and it's fun, and it's what you want out of a Christmas song. And I had to completely, I feel like, okay, Sia, if you're listening, I apologize, because I think it's great. There's several, her song Ho 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 on that album is also very fun.
Good.
And
Dolly Parton did, I love Dolly Parton for some reason.
Yes.
She did a great song in 2020 called Pretty Paper. Did you hear that one?
Yeah. Yeah, that's an old Roy Orbison song.
Yeah.
But she made it her own.
Yeah. She made it her own. I mean,
Yeah, she's terrific. Suzanne?
All right. Well, one of my favorite songs, and I play it a lot in my set list every Christmas when we start playing Christmas music, which is usually around mid-November on, we'll start incorporating all those things in our set list, is Dennis DeYoung. If you know him from Styx, he's got a very distinctive voice, and his song is called When I Hear a Christmas Song. And man, it's a really great song. If you haven't ever heard it before, I highly recommend that one, because it's just got a lot of heart to it. And of course, I put my spin on it too. So there's that. And I would like to actually record that someday if I get lucky enough to do that. I would definitely like to put that on an album, because that means a lot to me personally. I know Hanson, that nice little boy band from the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
Or whatever years those were. In 2017, they came out with a song called Finally It's Christmas. And it's really upbeat, and the crowd seems to like that one. So that's another one that we tend to play a lot of. Also, as far as covers go, CeeLo Green in 2012 did a cover of Please Come Home for Christmas. And I like the bluesiness that he brings to his covers when he does them. I felt like that one was really good. I had You Make It Feel Like Christmas on my list too. So Dan, we were thinking alike on that one. The Jonas Brothers had a new one out in 2020, and theirs is Like It's Christmas. That one has a lot of oomph to it. So I think it would be good for the long haul. Ronnie Millsap, there's a blast from the past.
I love Ronnie Millsap.
Oh man. He did a cover of a 1960s song in 2020 called Merry Christmas, Baby. I think that was the name of it. And that one was pretty decent. Chicago had a Christmas album come out in 2019 that was pretty good. I think they've done a good job at doing some covers, because everything sounds like Chicago, when you play it, you don't hear a lot, even though it may be in a cover, it always sounds like an original when they slap those horns on there.
That's so true.
It's my favorite band.
I'm picturing Mary Did You Know with horns by Chicago at some point.
They could do it.
The Goo Goo Dolls, going on the harder rock side of things, they have a 2020 album out. It's Christmas All Over, and there's a song on there called This Is Christmas. It's pretty cool. So I'm definitely it's a new one for us. So I'm going to be adding that into our set list for this Christmas for sure. I'm always looking for new things to bring to the table. So we're not just singing the same old, rehashing the same old Christmas songs. And until I have more of an arsenal, of my originals to play, for now it's, looking for covers. So I always try and find something that's different, that's still upbeat, because when you're playing live, especially, most places don't want you doing Silent Night or Away in the Manger, or, the more hymnal standards. They want you, singing some upbeat Christmas things. So that's kind of what I look for.
When I touched on this topic before with some Christmas podcasters, I had gone through my list, and I thought I'd go ahead and mention them with you guys too, and see if you're familiar with these songs, what your reaction is. One of them was Sia, Candy Cane Lane, which we already talked about. Carolyn Sills did a song called George Bailey in 2010. Are you guys familiar with that one at all?
Oh, no, I'll have to listen to that.
It is such a sweet, I feel like I keep saying sweet. It's a rare Christmas song that is about George Bailey and It's a Wonderful Life, and how much she loves that time of year when we get to watch It's a Wonderful Life again, and how she's so in love with George Bailey. And it's really, it's just, it's something new. They say that there's nothing new, but it's something new. I haven't heard that many Christmas songs about It's a Wonderful Life, certainly not in the last 20 years. And it's just really cute. And I think it starts and ends with a little bit of Buffalo Girls, Won't You Come Out Tonight? Because that was what was the thing in the movie. So I have that one. There was I think it was a movie on Hulu called Happiest Season that had a terrific Christmas song by BB Rexa and Shay Diamond called Blame It on Christmas. And what's really fun about this, besides the way that they sing this song that makes it so fun, is that it's talking about all of the stuff that we do at Christmas, all the fun excesses, the eating too much stuff, and being late for things because you're running around doing a million things that you love at Christmas. And it's just blame everything on Christmas. And it's really, and it's so fun. And I just think anybody who likes Christmas at all can identify with that song. In 2007, Olivia Newton-John had a Christmas album out, and one of the songs was called Christmas on My Radio.
Oh, nice.
And it's great. I think it's an original. I don't know if she wrote it, but I don't remember seeing anybody else do this song before. And it's all about that time of year when suddenly you turn on your car radio when you're running around and there's Christmas music there. And that great feeling that you have when whether you're on the way to the mall or you're just stuck in traffic or whatever you're doing, that there's Christmas on your radio. And that was really neat.
You know what, Ken?
What's that?
I have a question, because you mentioned, and car radios are really important. But with the music industry now, radios and CD players are obsolete. Yeah. So what is your vision for the future for music and traveling through,
Well, I think Sirius and XM radio, before they merged, and then certainly afterwards, certainly got things going where there could be radio that you could listen to, and it's wherever you are, you can listen to it. Kind of like with some of the bigger TV stations that you can, that some show is on Thursday night at 8. with
Oh,
Sirius and
okay.
XM, you had that kind of thing with radio, no matter where you are. But I think
Mhm.
that traditional radio has gotten so homogenized. I don't think that the next generation really pays that much attention to radio anymore.
Right.
And in their
right.
cars, they listen to their phones, whether they plug them in or they just play stations, internet stations, or their own playlists.
And I'm thinking, it's like, I can't buy a car without a CD player.
Yeah. I have a CD player in my
what
car.
What are you going to do?
I have a CD player in my car, and there's a Best of Frank Sinatra CD in there that I never get tired of. There's 20 tracks on it. It doesn't just live there, but it has lived there for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And I will flip on the radio sometimes, but a lot of times several radio stations will go, they'll all go into commercial breaks at the same time. And they're really long. And I know I can pop that Frank Sinatra CD and listen to 2 or 3 songs and then come back to the music.
So do you have any advice? Do you have any advice being, what you do? Because you service music, and what we do is we create music. So sometimes it's confusing because I don't, I don't know. I don't know what to do sometimes.
What I like to do before my latest Android phone upgrade, I plugged the headphone jack into a headphone jack in my car, and I had whatever was playing on my phone came through my car speakers. Have to go through Bluetooth now because the new phones don't have headphone jacks anymore. So got to do Bluetooth and probably have to upgrade the radio because my car is 2015, 2016. So I love it. So I'm keeping it for now, but I may need to upgrade the radio so that it's Bluetooth capable. But I think that a lot of people will do that because you can listen to an online radio station. It doesn't have to be mine. It could be a traditional radio station that streams online, and you can listen to it. And most of them all over the country are streamable. So if you moved, like when I lived in San Diego, but I was from Raleigh, North Carolina, if I wanted to, I could listen to one of my old favorite Raleigh radio stations.
Well, that's what I think is so nice about specialty radio stations like yours, Ken. I mean, and of course, that one of the things that we all tap into with Christmas music is it's nostalgic for everyone.
Yeah.
And, you have such a great footprint in internet radio because you provide, and it's fun that you do it all year long, but certainly at Christmas time, I'm sure it spikes because that's when we all kind of get sentimental and think about Christmas again and get into that spirit. So I think those kind of radio stations have a big future, Linda, to your point, or have a solid place, I should say. Yeah. Because they provide a niche market for people looking for a specific thing.
I get that we're in the summer now and not a lot of people are thinking about Christmas music, except in those rare occasions where when it's so hot, you want to hear Winter Wonderland to just kind of cool you off. But for the most part, people aren't listening to Christmas music. But it just was something that was just easier for me to leave it on all year than to try and reprogram it every year as Christmas was coming around. And I started the Sounds of Christmas radio station in 2007. And I started getting email. I turned it on November 1st, turned it off after Epiphany in January, and then did it again the next year. And after the second year, I started to get emails from people who wanted it all year round. And I thought, well, that's crazy. But it made it easier for me. And so I tried it. And I started to get the nicest emails from people who would say, I know it's just past St. Patrick's Day, but I really needed a little bit of Christmas spirit. And I turned on the Sounds of Christmas and listened for 20 minutes, and it made my day. And those kind of messages was like, okay, I'm leaving it on.
Yeah.
But Ken, that's in America. We have that. I mean, it could be global because when it's winter here, it's Christmas in Australia, summer there, so it's, I see you. What I'm saying is I see you being a global, because Christmas is a global thing.
Oh yeah.
It's
I have, in the last few years, I have heard from one of my friends in Germany who said that there is I don't know if it's a chain, but there's 3 different Christmas shops that are owned by the same person in 3 different cities, and they have the Sounds of Christmas playing in there, and just leave it on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh man.
Okay, that's
really comforting.
Cool. Yeah. that's pretty cool.
Oh. Well, Linda, just to make you feel better, I know when I'm out, there's people that still ask for CDs. So I know they're still playing them. And I had one guy said that he was going to put it into his computer and play it through there. So I know there definitely are people out there. So it depends on what you're making. If you're just doing a single, then you're probably not going to have a CD for just a single because it wouldn't be cost effective. But definitely, like if you had an album of Christmas music, I would still put it on a CD. You don't have to make a lot of them. You don't have to like do 300 or 400. But I would say if you do like 100 of them, at least you have some things to give out, or maybe because a lot of radio stations, they don't take them digitally necessarily. They want a physical copy mailed to the station. I have had that happen. So
that's true.
That's comforting. Yeah. That's really comforting to me.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're absolutely right, Suzanne. When we did put out there, we did the same thing because it got radio play in a bunch of markets and some in Europe, but they want the CDs.
Yeah,
they want the CDs. Yeah. Interesting. And just for people who enjoy your music, it seems more real when you can hand them, sell them a calling card and a CD.
Yeah,
Even I have CDs that I still listen on iTunes, but I like having the CD.
Right.
Oh yeah, I love having the CDs. I was actually in a mall of all things last weekend and went into the music store, and there were more records, vinyl albums, than there were CDs or DVDs or anything else, except maybe t-shirts. But it was just amazing. And I have a turntable somewhere.
So do I. I actually have a friend gave it to me as a gift, a modern turntable with that hooks up to Bluetooth as well. It's not an old turntable, it's something new, and I haven't really used it, but it's nice to have.
Yeah. My wife got me one a couple Christmases ago, and I love it, even though I've not used it yet. I'm very excited that I have it, and I know, and it has a Bluetooth, and it has a USB thing that I could plug it into my computer if I wanted to, and have it come out through the speakers or record some of my old vinyl albums that I don't have digitally yet.
Right.
I could do that.
Well, can you do such a great service to Christmas spirit, to be honest? You really do. And we just applaud you. I'm so honored to be with Linda and Suzanne and Ken to be in your universe. You've been so kind and supportive. But what you do, especially in this era that can be so cynical and so divided and so contentious, is you remind us all year long of that Christmas spirit. And I'm a big believer in that goodwill toward men.
Absolutely.
And you really do. You kept using the word, I think, sweet. What you do is sweet. It really is. It's kind and it's sweet and it's uplifting. And you should be so proud of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am. It started in 2007 and still on every year. And I do, it's a lot of work, but I love doing it. And I'm really happy to. And I get to meet people like you three, which is a real treat. I'm still enough of a music fan to geek out about stuff like that.
Right.
I'm playing this song and I'm going to talk to this guy in a little bit. It's really fun for me to be able to do that and to be able to reach out to people that I have. When I got it started, Mannheim Steamroller advertised the first couple of years to help me get off the ground. And it was just because radio connections that I was able to find somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And that was such a huge thrill that, Mannheim Steamroller, who is, I've told this story a million times, but it's my podcast, so I'll tell it again. I can still remember in December 1984 when I went into the record bar at North Hills Mall and they dropped the needle on side one of Mannheim Steamroller's first Christmas album. And I was in there hearing Deck the Halls, and it was just amazing. It was something that was so familiar and also at the same time so unlike anything I'd ever heard before. I just fell in love with it, and I really loved, and I wore that album out, and the 7, 8, 9, 10 albums that followed that. And it was such a thrill to be able to do this and to have Chip Davis involved to help me get started. That was just, I mean, that was just crazy and amazing. And I had no idea at the time, is this going to be more than a one-shot thing? Is this going to be something that nobody cares about except me? And then I have to justify doing it because it's a really expensive hobby if it's just going to be for me.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of this has come down to, because it's been so great, thanks to the internet, that I can do this kind of thing and connect with people who love Christmas and love Christmas music. And it's comforting that I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you make people happy, which you make people happy, and it's uplifting. And thank you, Ken. You're so nice to do what you do and work so hard at it, and have us be involved and to play our music. We're honored.
I couldn't have said it better, Dan. Thank you.
Well,
I'm just so grateful.
The honor is mine, and I'm very grateful that you guys could give up some time today and talk about this stuff.
I hope we can do it again.
It's I count on it. I'd be happy to talk to you again.
We'll send you our new songs, Ken, and see what you think when we get them out for Christmas.
Yeah, I want to before we wrap this up, I want to hear what each of you are working on. I'll go around the circle the way it appears on my screen. Suzanne, what do you have coming up?
Well, we just released Ice and Fire back in February. So one of the projects coming off of that, I'm going to be recording a Spanish version of the song Ice and Fire off that album, so I can put it in the Latin markets, because there's a need for that too, to have more songs that are in Spanish. So that's my next thing, is brushing off my Spanish from high school and doing that project. And then once I have that under my belt, then it's going to be back to Christmas again, because that's what's up next, is going back to working on my next Christmas song. So
that's
it'll be fun.
Not to put you on the spot, but last year you had mentioned that you thought this year you would have a video for Underneath the Tree.
Yeah, I was thinking I might, but I've been just spending so much time with the album itself and getting it out there, and some of the videos that are already out there on YouTube that I've been working on. So I don't know that I'll get to the Christmas one. We'll see. I would like to, but I don't know whether I'll get one this year or not.
Okay. And Linda, what are you working on?
I'll be brief because I don't have too much time. I'm working on, I have a song it was a song that I did years back. I'm going to bring it out, but I'm working on another Christmas song. I did a drummer boy, a little drummer boy, and then just really focusing on writing and working with different people. I'm so excited to be working and meeting, it's such a joy to meet people like you, all of you. I'm so grateful. And I was so looking forward to this, because I'm so grateful to all of you, and I just adore all of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank
How about
you.
you, Dan? You teased some Christmas music coming.
My original plan, we were going to have a Christmas album out this year. We're running a little behind to get that done. We have several Christmas songs in the works and a couple that are done. So if we don't do an album, I'll certainly release a new original Christmas single. But if we get the album done, and we'll know in the next 2 or 3 weeks if we can get that done. I'm working on another Americana rock album. We released Out There last year, and we're working on another one that we'll release later this summer, early fall. We've got some really tunes that we're excited about that are done on that album, and several more in the works. And then we've been playing out. We just had a couple of shows a few weeks ago. I'm out of town for a couple of weeks, and we've got some shows in August. We're opening for Night Ranger outside Reno this summer, late fall. So we're having fun. We're playing out a little bit. It's just such a joy to be part of music.
Yes. Now, where are you located, Dan?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, so and Linda's San Francisco.
No, I'm in Marin. I'm in Novato, California.
Yeah, beautiful area.
California. Okay.
So she's in our same area.
All right, and I'm down in Texas. So.
Oh, we're in Texas.
I used to be I'm in Okie.
Yeah.
Well, you are. My son lives in Austin. You're in Houston.
Area.
Okay, great.
Yep, that side. Yep.
And I'm in the Sunshine State where it's raining right now, which is standard for the summertime.
Yeah. But usually it's only about half an hour and then it moves on, right, Ken?
Usually we're getting a lot today, but it's probably just because they knew I was going to be trying to record something. That's how that goes.
Thank you so much for having us, Ken.
Listen, thank you.
To be with you.
I can't wait to actually meet all of you in the flesh.
I know. It's so good to meet you guys, and I'll definitely be following your new music, and I look forward to hearing it.
We will too.
And I look forward to playing
Merry
the new
Christmas,
Christmas.
Ken.
I beg your pardon?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and joy.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all of you, and thank you so much. And thank you so much for listening, helping us share some Christmas spirit, and for helping this podcast continue to grow. Since you're listening now, you've obviously found us somewhere. But if there's another site you like to use for podcasts, check out our podcast page on our website for the complete list of everywhere you can listen to the Sounds of Christmas podcast. And the website is soundsofchristmas.com. Then just click on the podcast tab. For the Sounds of Christmas station to listen to the music, you'll need to stick with our website or our app in the Google Play Store. If you have comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me on social media or through the website. Thanks again. And may you always believe in Santa Claus.